What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in for another video. Today we are finally back with the Durango. Before we get this video started, I just wanted to say my apologies for how delayed the content has been. There's been a lot going on in my personal life and stuff too that I haven't really talked about yet on camera. We'll probably have a vlog in the future where I'll mention it. But not only that, but just so much got delayed with this project, and I've not had any other project get to the point where I have a full video ready for it. You can see I got like so much going on in here. I got the daily in here and Project Sally, and we're just working on everything right now. Finally got this finished up though to the point where I can make a video on it, and I'm so happy that it's finally done. Also, I recently switched over. I used to edit my videos with Coral Video Studio. I've done that for years, but I recently switched over to Adobe Premiere Pro for editing, and like all of their software, all of their professional stuff that I'm going to be using from now on to edit the videos. And I've been learning it, and the last video I actually edited with it, but the majority of the beginning of this video I actually edited in my old software, but then I switched over and I decided to completely re-edit it. So that took quite a bit longer to do it that way, but hopefully that way this video will be a lot better quality for you guys. And I was able to practice with the new stuff, and I'm really getting used to it, and I'm loving it. So this video should turn out really awesome for you guys. I hope you enjoy, and without further ado, let's go ahead and finally get into working on the Durango again. All right, guys, new long-term project, car reveal, not clickbait. Ha, psych, it's the Durango. What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in for another video. Today we are working on the good old Durango again. A lot of you guys have asked me about this car and wondered where it's been and just like what's up with it and what it is. You've seen it in the background of videos and all that kind of fun stuff. This is actually my family's car. This was the family car since I was a kid, and like this was our main vehicle for many years. And then as time went on, I got my license, I got my own cars, my parents got their own different cars. Everybody has their own cars, and this car just kind of went to the back burner and was only really used as a spare vehicle, as a tow vehicle, and things like that, and it's definitely gotten neglected. This right here is a 2004 Dodge Durango. It is the limited edition with the all-wheel drive system and the 5.7 liter Hemi V8, and this thing is like fully specced out and loaded. It was a really expensive, really nice car when it was new, but now it has 185+ thousand miles on it. It has seen better days. The body is not in the best of shape, as you can see. There's plenty of rust and stuff that I've tried to touch up, and it's gotten bad. It needs a lot of body work and a lot of TLC, but the frame is still really solid. It's still a fairly clean car considering, and you know, it's been a lot of hard years here in New York where cars rust really quickly because of the road salt. So today we're going to be tearing the whole front end apart here. We're going to be replacing the water pump and the timing cover because it looks like we have a leak coming from those two. I forget what all else we're replacing, but that's the main thing that we're doing today. We're going to be tearing all this apart. We're going to be pulling the radiator, tearing down the whole front end here, and getting down into that timing cover. So first things first, let me just pull this cover off. There's a bunch of pins in it. That'll only take about 3 seconds. All right, just a couple minutes later, I forgot a pin. Never mind. There we go. There you go. That little plastic cover is out of the way now. All right, and there you have it. Job's done. I wish. So this has a really weird design. There's actually two different coolers here. This is for the AC condenser and something else maybe? I'm not sure. And there's an electric fan built into it over here. You can see there's one of the AC lines that runs. The AC compressor is actually right here, like on top of the motor, which normally they kind of hide them down below, it seems. So that's kind of interesting. We also have a cooler here. I'm not sure what that's for. What I do know is that this is the upper radiator mount support thing. There's 2 bolts in it here, and then it's just going to slide off, and then we got to disconnect whatever hoses we got to disconnect, as well as remove this other cooler from it, because I'm probably not going to remove this, although it depends on what fluid it is. If it's power steering or something, I'll probably remove this cooler as well, just to get it out of the way. If it's transmission fluid or something more important, I'll try to leave it. But either way, next we got to go down to the bottom, drain the coolant, and see what all we got to remove down there. Okay, I did not actually have to take that bumper cover off. Don't do that. Trying to take the grill out, and up under here there's 4 of these little things right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's little pins that go in here that you just gotta pry out on. Just like that, pry it out, and this little plastic pin comes out. We just gotta do that 4 times along the bottom. 4 bolts along the top here too, and you gotta carefully pry out on this to pop it out, but then the grill will just come right out once you remove all those. It looks like there's 4 bolts that hold this in actually. There's 2 here, and then there's one that was down in here, and now there's actually one up under here. I believe that's like a little 10mm, and then this upper radiator support will be able to pop off. just like that. Off comes that little mount. Ooh, that had some nastiness in it. So again, with that out of the way, nothing more has to be removed up top side to remove the radiator. All we gotta do is down at the bottom. And actually, it looks like this transmission cooler here, it literally just slides into a little slot on the radiator, as you can see right there, so we don't even have to remove a bolt for that or anything on the top. But up under the car, we have a little bit more to do. Thankfully, it doesn't look like it's gonna be too bad, but the bolts are very crusty. So essentially, there's the two coolers here. This one right here on the bottom in the front is for the power steering. And then this one up in here is the AC condenser. There's two bolts that hold it down here at the bottom, but as you can see, they are super crusted. I'm gonna try to remove all of them. Hopefully, these don't just immediately strip out and I can at least get some grip on them with a good wrench. Thank God this bolt's turning. I thought it was gonna strip immediately, but we've got enough of a grip on it. A couple of them were so crusty that I actually had to downsize my wrench to a 12mm. They're all 13mm bolts, but nevertheless they came out and we're gonna be replacing them for sure. So the only thing holding us back now is that the fan is in the way and I forgot about that. We shall see, but I'm probably gonna end up removing the fan first. Got the earbox pulled out. There's literally two bolts that hold it in here, and then I just undid the clamp and all of it came out. And then this right here is the tensioner pulley for the serpentine belt, which probably needs to be replaced because there's play in it and it does not sound good. Probably same for the idler pulley. There's a couple ways that you can do it. One is the proper way and the other is the backyard trick ways, which I'm going to attempt to use one. I actually went and watched my old video where I replaced the water pump gasket on this thing. I did that many years ago. In that video, I used a kind of sketchy trick to remove the fan and it worked. But essentially, I'll point arrows, but right there, this is a water pump pulley. The fan essentially as one unit bolts to that. And you have to unscrew the fan itself from the water pump pulley to remove it. And they make tools specifically for a lot of the older Dodge Hemi vehicles. You can rent them or buy them from AutoZone or whatever, and it will hold that in place, and it comes with this fancy wrench to do that. The trick that I'm going to be using is with the belt off the car. I have, you can see, a pair of pliers down in there on the pulley sideways, tightened down on it, and I'm going to use them to kind of grip onto the pulley and hold it still while I use Big Bertha, the monkey wrench here, on that giant fan nut portion and try to bust it loose that way.
The next day.
All right, a new day, and we have a new little tool here. The way this works is these little dowel ends will actually fit into the side of the water pump pulley, as you can see in that diagram, and I'll put a breaker bar in there, and that will hopefully allow me to hold it and get the fan broken loose with the monkey wrench.
20 minutes later.
Finally did it, boys. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see up in here, but the fan is turning independently of the pulley, which means that we got it loose. Now we just gotta finish spinning out the threads, and we're pretty much ready to pull this out once and for all. There it went. Don't do this at home, kids. There we go. That is a heavy unit to pull out all as one. Here's a little closer look at our fan. It's kind of oddly shaped, which is kind of funny. I don't really know the purpose of that. It was a really tight fit getting this radiator fan shroud out past the bottom here, and where it was hitting a little nipple here on the water pump pulley. It was catching on that, so I had to like wiggle it just right to get it out. But other than that, we got the radiator out finally, and now we have a clean shot at literally everything here on the front of the motor. I got both our idlers and our tensioners pulled off real quick, got them in a bag and labeled. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the water pump. Another thing we need to do, and it's probably gonna be the biggest challenge here, is we're gonna have to remove the crank pulley. And I had this little pulley puller laying around, and it might just work by clawing onto the pulley on the inside. So that's the way you're supposed to do it. You can actually get a pulley puller specific to this vehicle that will actually fit on the inside. Worst case scenario, if this doesn't wanna work, I will have to do that, try to find one, but we'll cross that bridge tomorrow. Tonight, I just wanna go ahead and see if I can get this water pump out of here. So essentially, the water pump is this unit in the middle, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down below, 8, 9, 10 bolts, I believe, that hold it in here. So it'd be nice if I can go ahead and get that done tonight. I already disconnected the 2 heater hoses over here. So let's just start removing bolts and see what we can do. Finally got the water pump out and everything is out of the way. Still has the upper and lower hoses attached. And it also has the thermostat still in it and stuff like that, which we're gonna have to transfer over to our new pump. But something that I was very careful to do when I pulled this out, when I was taking the bolts out, was I numbered them accordingly. The way I did that was I actually wrote on the head of the bolt what number it was. Like this one was the 8th one that I pulled out. Hopefully you guys can see there. There's the number 8 on it written with permanent marker. Did that for every bolt, and the way that I remember which way they go around is here on the water pump. I wrote a little number 1 and a little arrow pointing to the left, so I know that first one went here and then we went around to the left, so I can kind of use that to remember which order the bolts go in, because both are different lengths and sizes and all that fun stuff. So you gotta make sure the right one goes in the right place when you put it back together. And I'm gonna be doing the same kind of thing with the valve cover here, just to make sure that we don't get any bolts mixed up and it's not a huge pain later on. Alright, so I did some research. I thought that the intake manifold was going to have to come off to get to our spark plug wires, but actually this piece is independent from the intake manifold, and the throttle body is in behind it, and there's only a few bolts and a few wires that hold that in, and then we'll be able to pull that out of the way, and our wires will be right there ready for us to replace. So I'm going to be removing this plastic tray here, as well as this 10mm number 1, 10mm number 2, little wiring plug number 1. There she is. And out she comes. There's this little rubber seal that's supposed to go in the plastic here, and that's what seals it onto the throttle body. There's no clamp or anything, so it's kind of handy. It literally just pulls out. And from there, we have a clean shot at all of our wires. As you can see, they go just across to each other to the coil packs. I'm actually starting to have second thoughts about removing this upper thing. Might not even need that clearance. You can see they all set in this fancy little plastic thing, and this plastic thing pops into place in here in a few different spots. Like there's one spot where it clips in. You gotta use a little screwdriver to pop it out. And we're just gonna unclip this little plastic piece and pull the whole thing out, and then we'll set all our new wires in that and put the whole little plastic piece back in all as one. A nice kind of easy way of keeping them all together, and it's going to be easy for us for throwing the new ones in. So we got a little head start on the spark plugs here. I did these first two. I went ahead and did the one off camera. But we're gonna knock this whole bank out off camera and get that done, and then I'll time lapse this one. But I'm gonna take a little break from the spark plug stuff because, as you can see, our new pulley puller came in the mail actually early, and I'm really curious and I really want to try it out. As you can see, I already had to test fit it just because I was dying to know if it would work, and it looks like it will work. So we're gonna go ahead and start pulling this off. I'll talk more about the tool in a second because I gotta show you guys it. It's super nice. This thing is coming off butter smooth right now. Almost got it off, but I have to swap out for the slightly longer rod to get it completely out. There we go, off she comes. That was painfully easy to remove once we got the correct tool. Came off like it was nothing, and that was thanks to this thing. I gotta show you guys this because this is awesome. And I am gonna go ahead and try to get an Amazon affiliate link down in the description for you guys so you can go ahead and check this out. This is an Aries brand, however you want to pronounce it, harmonic balancer puller. And I guess that right there is the part number. But super nice, even came with this nice little case. Fits in here really nicely. There's the puller itself and all the rods, and then the threaded piece for the middle itself. This, as you guys know, threads into the middle of here. This grips onto the pulley itself, and then one end of our rod goes here into the end of the threaded piece in the middle. The other end goes into the threaded hole in the crankshaft and seats in there, and that's what it actually pushes off of, so there's no risk of damaging any threads or anything like that using this. A lot of people like it just for that reason alone, because a puller like this one, I would have been pushing off of the bolt. I would have basically re-threaded the bolt into the crankshaft and used that to push off of, and slowly unthreaded it as I got it pulled out. That can be risky depending on your application as far as threads are concerned. I've done that multiple times. I've never had an issue, but it's just something to think about. Something I forgot to do is I went ahead and drained the oil too, because we do have to remove, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these oil pan bolts. I believe they're 10 millimeters or something like that, and I'm just going to get at them from around like this. There's our little oil pan bolts all removed and ready to go. Easy. There we have it. Bruh. Yeah, so this is the oil pump right here actually, and then behind that's the timing chains and stuff. And yeah, of course the oil pan's down here. I'm gonna be careful not to like get any junk in there, but this is all gonna need to be cleaned up. It was leaking around here somewhere. I wonder if I can inspect it and figure out where. It'd be like right by the water jacket here.
It's like a chipmunk left a hickory knot.
Yeah, it's a little nasty in there. As you can see, the gasket here is still intact on this water jacket, but on this one,
Gone.
it's like
Gone.
it's all pressed in and corroded, and you can see where water was getting past there.
Right, it was leaking.
Yeah, as you can see over here, it doesn't look like that. It's actually dry, and then over here it's a mess. So definitely needed a new gasket. We also got a main seal here too, for in here that's gonna go in. And this is a coolant temp sensor up here, but cleaning all this out, you can see all the like sludge or some sort of buildup. I don't know, but good shit. These are the two water jackets right here. This runs into the water pump, and this runs into the water pump in the front, and then passes back through into the block. This is where it was leaking, I believe. You can see where the gasket is like extra flattened out, and it's like corroded into the shroud here. But then on this side, it still looks normal. And as we pull the gasket out, we'll see this side will pull out easily. And you can see where the rubber is just corroded. Like this is not gonna come out easy. Ah, yeah, there we go. We're also going to be replacing this main seal too, which I will show you now. Here's our new seal right here. That's what's going to go in there in place of what is there currently. Comes with everything you need to get installed. I use this big, what is it, 1 3/8 inch socket. That was the biggest I had that would fit here, but didn't quite fit over it. So what I did was I used a big washer and set it in here like that, and then put that in, and tapped on it with the mallet. Came right out. Now we can just start doing some cool time lapses, cleaning things up, and throwing things back together. Timing covers in and torqued, water pumps in and torqued. Time to take a break from that crap and knock these plugs out. Guys, it has been a hot minute since I last filmed with this thing. Main reason for that is not only did I have other things that I was dealing with, but also I needed something to install our crank seal, I should say our front main seal, and also our harmonic balancer back here on the front. And I actually waited to install the front main seal until everything is bolted in, because it's a little easier to do it and it's safer to do it that way, because then it can slide right on the crankshaft and slide on evenly. And I wanted to use a tool to do that because, you know, you don't want to have any issues with your front main seal. It's not something you want to mess around with. So I was going to rent the tool from AutoZone. It ended up they didn't have the tool that I was actually hoping to rent the whole time. So I ended up searching around. I was going to try to make my own tool out of a long bolt that had the right threads, but I couldn't even find a bolt with the right threads that would go into our crankshaft. So I was kind of screwed, and I ended up finally just buying a harmonic balancer installer tool kind of thing. And here it is. I'm not very familiar with the brand that I ended up getting. I found it on Amazon, and I knew by the part number that it would fit, but it is essentially, as it says here, a long reach harmonic balancer pulley installer. You can see here it's actually pretty cool. Basically comes with these 4 kind of bolts. They're not technically bolts, but essentially the ends of them have this certain threading, and that's going to go into the crankshaft. And then this little bearing here is going to slide up on the threads at the top of the bolt, and we're going to spin it with a wrench and slowly spin it in and tighten down on our harmonic balancer pulley. But in order to install our crank seal, I'm going to use this piece of pipe, which is the perfect perfect size as a sort of a spacer that's gonna go on over our crankshaft and allow us to push our seal into place with that tool. So I'm pretty excited for this to try it out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and finally get the seal in after many days of waiting. Alright guys, radiator assembly is all in finally. Got the coolers in as well and all bolted down. Got all our radiator hoses hooked up minus one clamp right here. Got all of the belt stuff in. All I gotta do is tighten down the fan and then I just gotta throw the intake in the battery and we can go ahead and finally start this thing up. Oh, yeah, I also have to put fluids in. I better not forget that.
A few moments later.
All right, boys, a little bit later. Got the battery in, got the air box in, got all of our fluids in, got her topped off with coolant. Gonna leave the cap loose while we first run it to get the bubbles out. I also pulled the fuel pump relay, so hopefully we can try to crank it over a little bit, get the oil circulating before we start it, because it has been sitting for a while. The oil was drained out of it and stuff, so we'd like to kind of get some circulating and check things over. I don't think I heard the fuel pump. Yeah, definitely the fuel pump's not running. All right, that should be enough. Glad to see our battery is actually fully charged. The only thing that has spilled is where I changed the oil and where I accidentally dripped coolant when I was pouring it in. All right, time for a full send, baby. Here goes nothing. Oh my God, it's running. It's a miracle, boys. Well, it ran, which is amazing, and it actually sounded really good. The only thing I can say is it was dripping coolant, and I'm pretty sure it's just because I left this cap off because it looks like it was bubbling out of here. So I put the cap back on because I topped it off, and it looks like coolant might have got on the fan blade because of that, and it flung it around a little bit, and I can see where it's over some of the pulleys in the front, but I don't see anything dripping from anywhere, any of the radiator hoses, from any of the hoses on the water pump. I can't see anything that looks wet there, so that's a good sign. Just want to confirm that, but other than that, it looks like we're good to go. Already sounds way more healthy than it did beforehand. Guys, we're finishing this video up just in time for it to get really rainy and really wet, and actually the microphone on my camera got a little bit wet, so you literally cannot hear anything that I'm saying. So I'm gonna end the video here on my phone. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little video. I'm so happy we were finally able to put something together on the Durango. We were finally able to get this job done. It has taken way too long, and we learned a lot. We had a lot of setbacks, but now the car is completely fixed, and now there's gonna be no reliability issues. Still got a lot to do with the car, a lot to put back together. It needs a full exhaust here at some point too, from the headers back, because there's something's leaking up there. You can hear it ticking. And there's just a lot of little stuff that needs to be taken care of still with the car, but the main stuff is done for this episode, and we finally got it running, which I'm so happy. I wanted that to happen for this video, and we got it going. And so far it looks like there's no leaks and nothing that has gone wrong. Knock on wood. I'll be checking everything over, getting the car inspected, getting it put back together completely, and all that stuff here soon. And I'll probably update you guys on that soon. Hit the thumbs up button if you would like to see a little update on that. But I got a lot more fun content coming this week. Finally, I'm super excited to finally be back on on track and finally have that done. A lot of stuff coming. Something actually might be happening with this car tomorrow. So I might update you guys on that too, and just so much going on with everything. Really excited, and this has been huge motivation finishing this project up. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed. Hit the thumbs up button if you did, and thank you guys so much for the patience, and thank you guys so much for the support. I love you all so much. You rock. God bless, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.
Hit the beat, bass.